Good morning, everyone. All right. So a little bit of a breakout day yesterday. It was a nice day up into resistance, where it stalled pretty much exactly in that area. And we're looking at the Dow futures here. And so today has a little consolidation bar that's just beginning. At the top of the range, perfect. So what's next? Well, we'll see what today brings, but typically a bar like this results in a kind of a quiet, choppy day. And ideally, it stays in the upper part of the range, exactly where it is, which seems unlikely that it will stay there all day, but it certainly might. You can see the cursor on the hourly chart right on what's called minor support. And there's a little consolidation right here. And the other charts will look similar to that. You can see this little overlapping. When you see overlapping bars where the opens and closes are overlapping each other on a higher time frame, there's going to be some kind of a pivot or consolidation in the lower time frames, and that's where it's beginning to stabilize as it's pulling back right now. So I've marked this. Well, let me back up. As we looked at other influences yesterday, the dollar, interest rates, everything suggested, what the market was doing, going up, and they haven't reached support, and that suggests the markets can go higher. So this two things. A lot of patterns that we look at similar to this down here, we call them a 1, 2, 3, which is a wide range bar followed by a narrow range bar, typically inside the upper part of the wide range bar range, and then it continues higher. Well, one like this has pretty good odds of going up because you've got this void area where there's little to no resistance until it gets up into here where it's stalled. Whereas this one you can call 1, 2, 3, but is at this pivot high. And it certainly can go up above here. But what I pointed out, just because we have to be open-minded, everything looks good here. But it's, the market's up a lot and we have to be objective and the possibility that and probability that at some point things are going to correct a bit. It doesn't mean it's going to collapse, but correct a bit. So what I marked here is called a BBF, a breakout bar failure. And we'll see what happens tomorrow if it actually sets up this way, where you have a wide range bar, you have an inside bar at the top of that bar, and then the next day it breaks below the low of the inside bar, which often sends prices down below the bottom of the wide range bar. So we'll come back to that tomorrow, see if it actually sets up that way. But something to think about, because right now it looks like what was set up is this narrow range bar. Of course, it could break out. I mean, if the dollar was to collapse here and interest rates go down, buyers, I believe, would step up and we could get another up bar. But if we get this consolidation day, then we'll be considering or thinking about this BBF tomorrow, possibly setting up because, just based on the structure of where prices are at a resistance, so it makes sense for that to happen. Keep it in mind. We'll see how the day shapes up. You can see buyers are stepping up here a little bit right in this support area down here. So we're always looking to the left, seeing where there was some consolidation and where buyers are going to be. And so it's retracing up here. And we see this setting up in, markets that moved. NASDAQ futures, same thing, up into this resistance area, wide range bar, so far an inside bar. Now, what we really don't want to see is, let me go back here since I have this marked up. Is that one marked up? This one here. See the plus 180, plus 180. We don't want a minus 180 over here, meaning a wide range red bar that closes below this low. That would be an obvious, bearish event, whereas this one is very subtle, kind of unexpected, but we'll talk about that tomorrow. But again, we don't want to see this come all the way back down and closing down here. Clearly, that would be negating yesterday's bar. And that's not part of what we expect today. What we expect is what typically happens historically is a consolidation day. And we'll see what happens. You got a little void here, and other than this support, there isn't a lot to stop it until it gets down here. All right. So NASDAQ, same thing, resistance, breakout bar, inside bar so far. It's got room to fall. It's at some support. So far, looks like consolidation day. So comes here, give or take, tries to rally back up, chops around, and so on. The Russell wasn't invited to the party yesterday. It didn't do anything. It tried to get going. The regional banks, we'll take a look at, they were just not participating, and biotechs were in favor, but it wasn't firing on all cylinders, and it did nothing. And you can see this is down here a little bit and coming down to support. So I thought maybe this would play some catch up, but it doesn't look like, at this point, doesn't look like that's happening. Okay. Let's take a look. 10-year here. And it was up a little bit. It's flipped back down. So the market up a little bit there. And so if this will continue to inch down toward this support, maybe we get another up day. We'll see. Of course, it's got to recover from the little selling that happening early this morning. Not a big deal. But if this was to continue lower, right, and this is part of our conversation in the green room yesterday, was that, look, things look good, could go higher. And so what would the scenario be? Well, what the market likes, interest rates coming down. And once they get to this support area, they begin to stabilize. And you can see the uptrend on the weekly chart coming down here. They'd stabilize and they'd start to move up. And of course, the market wouldn't like that. And the dollar down, it's not any, well, it's a little bit of support down here. But look at the big wide range bar on the weekly time frame, suggesting, an igniting bar lower, and that should go lower, and the market likes that. I should put that up here. Okay. Gas is, it's up a little bit, so market doesn't favor that, but not a big deal. And USO yesterday, crude oil, was up in market, kind of brushed that off, but not a big deal. It's in a downtrend. So we'll see what that does. If it continues to move up, it's just something we'll have to monitor right now. So far, not any big deal. You can see the crude oil futures, they hit the 200, stopped right there. And so far, just a little inside day stepping up. So we may have a kind of a go nowhere, boring type of day today. So don't fight it. But we'll see what's moving. The markets might not move very much, but individual stocks that are moving well. It's like gold is up a bit, but we've got a trading range, so not any great opportunity there. Day trading, but as far as swings go, no. But not. Silver, this is starting to get interesting. And we'll see where this closes, but you can see all these pivot highs up here and this nice move up, this bottoming tail bar. And this might be getting ready. We'll see where it ends the day, where it can make a move up toward this 25 area or above, where that significant resistance is up here. And you can see the wide range bar on the weekly, which was this power move. SPX, we look at spiders. And you can see they've been inching down. It's in the upper part of the range there. Things move around. Yeah. So earlier it was 75. Now it's 65, which I think is, just based, they got tight yesterday and it was leery about anything yesterday because how close the strikes were. And this is still close. I mean, that easily could get tagged. So you got to be always careful, aware that these things move a lot. 45.05, and this moved down a little bit. 05. I think, just typically, it typically is not going to go down here and it's not going to go up there, but you got to assess what's happening here as things get moving first thing in the morning. They said we don't want to see it go down there. I don't know what would trigger it to go down there. Let's see what news is coming our way today. Tuesday. FOMC minutes at 2:00. So we got until 2:00 before everybody kind of backs off, waiting to see what those minutes say. There are more auctions for interest rates, existing home sales at 10:00. So just be aware. There's news out there. And I'm surprised this isn't much further away because typically, after an up day like this, you have so many coming and buying call options that the premium gets really jacked. And the strike with the premiums are way up here. And it's not. And it may be because of the holiday. I'm not sure. But typically after an up day like that, the premiums would have been way up there and like more of a no-brainer kind of situation. And this isn't no-brainers. I mean, the market is positive. I don't think it's going down there today. But any of those numbers, we'll see. You got the message. I mean, there's unfilled gaps down here. But if we get that breakout bar failure tomorrow, which we'll talk about tomorrow morning, if it sets up that way, and we'll see what's happening pre-market as far as if it's moving under there. And it's a very, I don't know, it's the right word. It's just a pattern that you don't expect things to happen. But I've seen it so many times where that little inside bar and it breaks in this kind of situation where it's near resistance. It looks great. And then it just kind of sucks you in. So we'll see tomorrow. Transports, moved up. Looks good so far. And let's take a peek at internals. I'll hand it over to Dan here. Risk is growing. All right, this is moving into the upper bands here. Sentiment breadth is, lower highs, and this is moving up. So a little less participation. I mean, this could perk right back up if a lot of those bottoming patterns, those underperformers, but this is already red, and this is now getting real close. So we know risk on the long side is growing, but we don't have any pattern yet. But so keep that in mind. Keep objective. When these meet together up here, you're going to get some kind of corrective price action, and this market is certainly due for it. But I don't think anything big's going to happen before the holiday, right? That typically doesn't. So, maybe after the holiday, we're going to see some downside action. But that's it. All yours, Dan.
Good morning. We're shaking the edge. Yeah, talking about 123s. We're going to be talking a lot about that tomorrow at MT Live. Whoop, did I do the right one? There, TC. Let's take a look at earnings first. As always, a lot of retail reported. No, I don't have any alarms on our opens going off. Retail, AEO, down 17 bucks. Well, that's a big bearish gap. This has been one of the ones outperforming recently, daily, weekly, monthly. That looks like a short-term top. ADI down a little bit, but nothing to do. ANF. This was one that we did an earnings trade on. We did two of them, same strategy, which was a short wrangle. A short straddle means you're straddling both sides of the market. You're selling a call and a put at the money, and you're just hoping that it has a small gap versus a big one, and you keep the premium. We I don't like those myself, although it's just math. You're going to take in a lot more premium, but you have zero room. You're going to lose on one side. On the gap. Well, not lose. That's an incorrect word because you can still make money on both sides. But it's what are the odds it's going to open flat zero? So we did a way out of the money. Let's see which ones we did. A and F. We did the $91 calls. We were like we were just flabbergasted yesterday at the premium. We sold this for $1.20 a share with the 91s. I mean, where the heck is a 91? Here's my monthly chart. And then we did the 58s under the at this prior pivot over here. And so we're going to have a monster open gain on that. I'm actually bidding, I forget, a nickel or a dime. See if we get filled. And then we did one on Burl, same strategy. Now this one has a big gap up. And I said that yesterday. I said, if this thing opens flat, this is a bullish bottoming pattern. But the strategy we did the 165s. So it's a bullish gap. So the upside, we we use the word defend. We got to be more careful on the upside, but we still have $6 of cushion. And then we sold the 105s. So those are totally fine. Those are going to be worthless. But I got a 95% chance we should have an open gain, because we're still $6 away. But we got to wait a few minutes, let the spreads contract, and then I'll be looking to get out. BBY was a potential bottoming pattern, daily, weekly. Look at this weekly. You got a bull engulfing following that. So that's what we call a bear sandwich, which is a bullish. If it closed the week like this, that's a 1, 2, 3 following a bear sandwich. But gap most of the gap was gapping down here now, so nothing to do. LOW 197. But look, that's gapping right in the middle. Roger, what's the first option strategy you think of on that gap right in the middle? As I put it in a window. Too early for you? A short iron condor. Exactly. So let's keep an eye on, unless it opens up and rips in one way or the other, then I might only focus on a put spread, in the direction of the bucks. But yeah, as of right now, it's a definite condor setup. Andrew, yeah, Andrew's reminding us on YouTube in the video of earnings today. Absolutely. Yeah, all eyes are on that. It's bullish as can be, but Andrew, you know me. Things that run from here to here into earnings, a lot of the bullish sentiment has already been spent. So, in my experience, the odds of this going much higher are low. So, regardless of where it opens, I have a bearish bias under a 30-minute low tomorrow. That's just a vanilla statement. And then we see, we're trading patterns and we see what happens. And then that's all, that's going to move the semis, that's going to move the NASDAQ, that's going to move this SMCI trades very closely with it. Talking about that, look at Abgo, and I checked, and this is not earnings, but this is a beautiful pattern when we talk about wanting to do call spreads on shock patterns. So it's kind of a pseudo Plimo, not textbook because it had this little continuation. But the shock is happening this morning by gapping under yesterday's big green bar, and there's a big void. So 30-minute low, this is a beautiful call spread candidate. Now there's going to be some additional risk just because of NVIDIA earnings. Where did I leave off? KSS 2360. Roger, another condor. Gapping right in the middle of a major pivot high, major pivot low. Condor candidate. J132, bottom of the range. 30-minute high, maybe put spread. Hit a big old gap. It's an excessive gap, so I don't trade excessive gaps myself. Burrow, we talked about this. It's in a trading range, flat 2050, bear sandwich weekly. I set an alarm at 42.90. Let's see if we can get a breakout on earnings here. Cal 3045, it's a bullish gap, but excessive for me. It's over 10%. DKS one, that's a bullish gap. That's another beautiful bottoming pattern, but gap's big. We'll come back. Delta Yankee, excessive gap. Senta, I don't like the way it trades, but I think I set an alarm up here anyway. Possible breakout again. Agilent, gap's too big, but bullish. MDT 77. We can watch on a pullback. Baidu's a nice bottoming pattern. I'm going to set an alarm at 113 and then 30-minute high. This looks like a put spread idea for Friday. One, three. Keys. It was another bottoming pattern. Some in the green room, I think Sam, etc. We're playing this little bounce. 137. That's a watch and a pullback. Zoom, that's a bear gap under a green bar. That's a call spread candidate. And that's it on earnings. Just other miscellaneous list here. EEFT breakout of a bottoming pattern yesterday. Main, I have an alarm at 40.98, possible breakout. Charlie Golf, my alarm went off this morning. Another kind of continuation higher pattern. AAON, I have an alarm up here somewhere, a little buy setup into a WRB. Let me make sure. I'll put it on the other computer too. AAON 63. 30. SYM. Um, did we look at that already? It's a big old gap. No, we didn't. Wow, that's a monster gap. That's a buy on a pullback though. Abgo I talked about. Shocked. Look at this little guy we missed. Look at these moving averages. We're beautiful. Confirmation of that bottoming pattern. Wow. Nothing to do with it now, but that was a nice breakout on a cheap stock. SPYS, this is a silver stock, I think. Why is that getting killed? That's a nasty gap. Look at this trend, downtrend, 2015. Oh, 10. We were watching yesterday, daily, weekly, possible bottoming pattern. I see oil down here across the board. Oil ETFs. AMBA bottoming pattern was on my list yesterday. What's up with VMware? That's not earnings. This is the one that's been in the news of getting regulatory approval. But that's a, that's a nasty gap down. ENB alarm. This was a little, 1, 2, 3 from a bull flag. Hey, nice 15-minute chart. E and B looks great. Let's put it there for maybe 10, 15-minute high. That looks great. Verizon up alarm. We are in this. Let's move stop here. 36.42. Oh, it hit my up alarm. Our first target was spot 90. Let me set a new alarm. All right, so this burrow is now going against us a little bit, so we just got to be patient. Baidu going down, LOW going up on its earnings. Our ANF is fine. Verizon target met, third target, that is. Four. It's sloppy. I kind of like this. It's sloppy, but looks higher. All right. LOW is bouncing here, but no pattern. You always got to check the cousin. Home Depot gap down.